I'll Okay. Let me have my notes. It's time to talk about crystallize time. Time to talk about crystallize time. That time twice. Okay, it's time to talk about crystallize time. So I'm gonna go through this in these steps. We'll first talk about what's happening in the mechanic, what is happening in the arena, especially. This is all the stuff that we're gonna be dodging while doing the mechanic. Then we're gonna talk about the debuffs, and we're gonna split it into red and blue. It's gonna make sense later. Then we're gonna talk about the rewinds, and at the end, we're gonna talk about. Gonna go through all the POVs, or most of the POVs, and talk through how you can think about the mechanic. Cool. So let's start with what the hell is going on. So a lot's going to happen. So I have this video here, Sugar Plum Bun, thank you. This is a top-down toolbox POV of the fight. So they're casting Crystallize Time right here. Bunch of things are gonna happen. So let's focus on the arena and what's going to happen. What's the space denial situation? So as you can see, there are 6 hourglasses, and Gaia is going to tether 2 yellows. This yellow here is always north-south, and then 2 purple. Purple can be either diagonal. So what this means is that she's fast forwarding the yellow ones and she's slowing down the purple ones. So yellow ones are going off first, so directly north, directly south, those are 2 danger explosions. Then it's going to be the untethered hourglasses, and last the purple tethered hourglasses. And remember that the range of the explosion for each of the hourglasses is shown on the arena. So these circles here, these circles show the exact size of the explosion. So keep that in mind, because we're going to be using the edge of the circle, the cubbies, and the butt cracks a lot. Let's see what happens. So as soon as the first explosion is going to happen, 2 dragon heads spawn. Those dragon heads need to be soaked twice so that they disappear. If they don't disappear at the end, they explode and we wipe. Keep in mind during this mechanic that over here, the memory crystal, if it ever gets hit with any avoidable AoEs, it's going to take damage and we won't be able to get to P5. So it's going to be important for a couple of positions, but just keep that in mind. So first, the north-south hourglasses are going to explode. Then the untethered hourglasses. And then last, the other diagonal. While the third explosion is happening from the hourglasses, Shiva is going to appear either east or west. And this one is always east or west first. And she's going to cast an Exa wave. So these waves here, they split the arena perfectly in 4. So that means that this first hit covers this line. This second hit is going to stop exactly at the center of the arena. And then the third hit, and then the fourth. So you can follow the line here, you'll see. Boom. Covers the middle of the arena. Third one. And fourth one. And then right as this is happening, she's going to appear north or south. And again, the second one is always either north or south every time. And she's going to do the same thing. Then, after all this happens, she's going to cast Hallowed Wings. Gaia is gonna jump on someone. So we need to be spread for this bonk here. And then the Hallowed Wings are knockbacks. That happen exactly from where she threw the Exo Waves. So the Exo Waves in this run happened from east to west and from south to north. So the knockback is coming from east and then coming from south. So here you can see east, boom, and then south. Boom. Okay, it's a lot of stuff, but this is what's happening in the arena. So let's talk about debuffs now. So the debuffs for this mechanic are completely random. So we will have a couple of prior systems, but they are very distinct on what they need to do. So the main thing is that if you have, so look here, everyone's getting one element, one either red or blue, and one rewind placement, okay? If you are a red debuff, this means that you need to boop the dragon head, and that will cause an explosion and leave a puddle on the ground, but this will clear your red debuff. So here you see the Dark Knight is going to bump the dragon head, and well, this isn't correct here, but yeah, the debuff should be gone, and there's going to be a puddle here in the ground that's also has like a little crystal over the top. We'll talk about that more when we get to the POVs. So if you get a red debuff, there are only two combinations that you need to know. You're either gonna have the wind, the arrow, or the blizzard, the ice. The wind is a knockback, the ice is a donut. So if you are red and you have ice, you are going to go east and west. So you see here the Dark Knight and the Dancer, they have red ice, red ice. They go east-west a little bit in front of the marker. If you see the dragon here, he's following exactly this center line of the circle. So you can basically stand right here and you want to let the dragon bump into you. Okay, so this is the first drop of the red ice debuffs, and this is going to happen on both sides. Now the winds are going to go off at the same time as the ice, and they are basically a big knockback. So what we're gonna do with the winds is place them southeast and southwest. So you can see here the warrior and who's the other one? The monk have the winds. So one of these is actually going to use their knockback to throw a whole bunch of the group to the other side of the arena. You don't ever need to think exactly if you're gonna have to do that or not, but in this case the monk here is going to use his knockback to throw a lot of people across the arena. Okay, let's talk about the blue debuffs. So the blue debuffs, there is an ice donut, there is a yellow stack, there is a water stack, and there is a darkness flare. So what you need to remember for the blues is that everyone is going to go south except the one with darkness. Okay, so the idea is that you can, if you see that you have blue, you can already start heading south. And then you're gonna look for where the purple tether is. Okay, so you see the purple tether is southeast here. So in that case, everyone that's blue and it's not dark is going southeast. So you basically go against the wall in the same place as the tether. The darkness is going to go north and directly opposite. Okay, so they're gonna stand over here. So remember that the blues are basically starting in line with the purple tether hourglasses here. So regarding the debuffs, you actually don't need to think too much about them. They're kind of just resolve themselves naturally. So initially, there's the water stack that happens here, and you already have 4 people. And then the ice donut from the blues happens here, and you're already stacked, so it doesn't hit anyone. And then the yellow stack happens here, and that's also resolved. And the darkness happens at the same time as the water over here. Or yeah, same time as the ice. Right here, the darkness flare on the picto. Small thing about the darkness here is that you want to make sure, so this darkness and the stack that's coming up, they need to be careful not to hit the memory crystal, okay? So if you are the darkness with the flare, you're going to stand over here in this cubby, okay? So if you're watching the line, this is the line from the hourglass explosion, you can stand right here by the edge of the thing and just wait the entire time, and you're not gonna hit the crystal. And then the yellow stack over here, so everyone that's coming over on this side needs to stack on the intercard, which also has the fidget spinner for this stack, and this is a very large stack. So if you are ever so slightly towards north here, you are going to clip the crystal, and it's going to be not a P5 run. Okay. So let's talk about the movement of the red people, okay? So if you are red ice first, okay, there's 2 patterns on red ice. So there is the pattern where you have the stack on your side. So in this case, the stack is on the west side. It could be on the east side. So just notice that the Dark Knight here, he's looking north, or they're looking north, and they see there's a person over here. That means that they're gonna need to run over and stack with them in a couple of seconds, okay? So what they want to do here is right before the dragon hits, you press your sprint, and then you make a little curved line towards the person over here, okay? So you just want to try to avoid doing like a straight line, because it shouldn't happen that you take the... Yeah, so here they just go in a straight line and it's fine. But just in case you want to be careful and avoid grabbing this puddle, this especially happens in the simulator on XIV Sim, not the single player one, where if you just bump into your dragon and follow a straight line, you kind of take the puddle when you shouldn't be able to. But just in case, pop your sprint, and as soon as the dragon head hits here, you want to make your way as fast as possible, because remember that this next hourglass that you were standing on is going to explode, and you want to be here for the stack, okay? If you are on the other side, now this one is one of the trickier movements, and we're gonna go through the POV later and talk about it. But basically, it's the same deal. You're gonna pop your sprint right here when the dragon head when you boop the dragon head, and then what you wanna do is you wanna go towards the wall, west in this, east in this case, or if it were here, you would go west. And you want to hug the cubby right here, okay? So remember that the hourglass north from you is going to explode next. So you want to be hugging this cubby right here. And you really want to be tucked in as much as you can, because this person is going to boop their dragon head over here. And if you get caught in the radius, you are going to die. So you want to tuck in, and you still have your sprint. So you're tucking in as soon as you see the orange disappear from this hourglass. You're gonna run as fast as you can over to the rest of the party. Okay, so all these people here, all the blues and the two reds with ice, they will all do what they have to do and meet up north, basically under the crystal, okay? And what you want to do here is, once the second X-align happens here, so between the second and the third, it's when it crosses through the center. This is when everyone starts crossing and going over basically towards the center of the arena. So I'm just gonna go through the winds, the red winds, and then we'll talk about what the blues need to do in that moment, okay? So the red winds. So you're gonna have two patterns, but these ones don't change as much. These play very similar. The only difference is you either have the group with you or you don't. But you can basically do sort of the same movement every time. So you stand right against the cubby. This is the same thing from both sides. Right as the first hourglass goes off, you want to stand directly towards the wall, on like centered up in the petal here. So if you see there's like a petal here, which is like the intersection of the two circles, you're gonna want to stand exactly right here. And especially if you're on the side with the group, you want to try to do this movement like a little early. Try to snapshot into the explosion. So like as soon as you see the orange here going off, you move in and you stand still, because these people over here, they're gonna need to like sort of use your body to line up for the knockback. So especially if you're with the party, try to be quick here and just position and stand still so people can adjust to you. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you go up to the pedal, and then you wait for the wind to go off, and right after the wind goes off, you go a little bit further to the other cubby, okay? If you can do this movement on both sides, and it's gonna work the same, okay? So right here, this is the second hourglass explosion. This is where you want to press your sprint as the red wins, okay? And what you're gonna want to do is, as soon as the second hourglass explosion goes off, so in this case, the one right in front of the warrior, or in case of the monk is the one further away from him. But as soon as the explosion goes off, you're gonna sprint in, and you're gonna want to intercept the dragon head exactly lined up with the marker, okay? So you see both of them. They are, I guess the icon here is a little off, but you'll see in the POVs that you basically want to position and let the dragon head come into you. And you kind of need to do that really fast. That's why it's very important for you to sprint. So remember, when you see the hourglass go off here, you sprint, you run up to the marker where the dragon head is gonna pass. It's gonna bump into you. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna go south, but you wanna kind of do an L shape, okay? So you're gonna wanna move south and then towards this little space here. That's always safe. This is because sometimes your partner that's popping the dragon head right to your side is gonna be a little late. And if they do, this gives you the most chance of avoiding their explosion, okay? So, pop sprint, Position, wait for the dragon to boop you, go back, and then to the center here. Okay, now let's talk about what you need to do after all the dragon heads have been exploded. If you are red, you are mostly done with the mechanic. If you are blue, you need to get a cleanse bottle, okay? So let's go through the reds first. So as a red here, it's your goal to see which intercard we're gonna need to place our rewinds, okay? And the way you know that is basically wherever side Shiva appears on from east-west, and then wherever side she appears on from south and north. So in this case, she appeared east, and then she appears south. So that means that we're gonna place our rewinds southeast, okay? So on this intercard. Something important for the reds is pay attention and try your best to not steal one of the cleanse bottles, okay? Especially right here, you see how they are basically right at the safe spot where they're gonna need to place their rewinds, but there's a cleanse bottle right here, and you don't want to steal that from the person who needs it. Yeah, so just make sure that you play safe. You have a lot of time to place your rewind, especially as the reds. If you were a red ice, you're gonna be coming over from the north side, and you won't have your sprint. It's gonna be fading off by here, but it's totally fine. The only thing I would say is you can always make it to your rewind as long as you move into the second Exa wave. So the Exa wave that's crossing through the middle, basically. So you see the Dark Knight here. So the Dark Knight is coming over from north here, and basically they are not sure if they can make it so that they 2-to-1 this Exa wave. So it's perfectly fine for them to just wait here in the center for the second one and then go into that one. Okay, so that's really, really important to keep in mind, is that you can always wait for the second Exa wave to then move in and drop your rewind. Okay, now for the blue debuffs. So the blues, they're gonna need to grab a cleanse bottles. And we know that there are 4 bottles. 2 of them on east-west and 2 of them on southeast and southwest. So the way we're gonna do it is we're gonna assign a cleanse depending on which debuff you had, okay? So the tricky thing is your debuff is going to disappear. It's going to happen and then it's gonna be gone. So basically, if you are blue, through this entire mechanic, just keep telling yourself either which debuff you had or which cleanse you need to get, okay? So just keep telling yourself mentally, or make like an echo macro or something like that. Something to remind you which cleanse you are, because you see here the water goes off, you no longer have that on your character. So you're gonna need to just remember which one you had. So for the cleanses, there is like a couple of ways to memorize which one is which. You have time to keep this on your second monitor if you want to look and just check here which one you are. But it is sort of color coded, okay? And what I mean by sort of color coded is that the only one that's not is the ice, okay? So you can see that yellow stack is the yellow marker, the blue water is the blue marker, and the darkness flare goes on D for darkness, and it's also purple, okay? So that's at least how I remember the color coding for the cleanses. And then the way I remember the ice is just, it's the one left out. It's the one on 4. Okay, and so how do you go about getting those cleanses? So we talked about where you want to sprint as the red debuffs. So let's talk about where I recommend you should sprint as the blue debuffs. So every single blue is going to be stacked up right here on Narf, okay? So I recommend that you press sprint right here when you see the second Exa wave is going to happen, okay? And what you want to do is you're going to pop your sprint and you're going to go into this Exa wave as you run towards the center, okay? You're always going to run towards the center and always into the Exa wave. It's going to come from either east or west. So pop your sprint and boom, start running, okay? And then as you go towards the center, then you're going to basically split off and get each of your cleanses. So there's a couple of tricky ones. So here, for example, this one is pretty free, the one where the Exa wave came from. If the north-south ones spawn from north, the southeast and southwest ones are also pretty free. You can just go and grab them. But let's just talk about this one. So the one that's getting hit last. So what you want to do is basically as soon as the animation for the snapshot for the last wave here disappears, you're gonna walk in. So yeah, as you see the big yellow, you walk into the animation and you grab it, and then you're gonna have to like haul ass and make your way to your rewind spot. That can really be anywhere. Yeah, this is one of the trickier rewind spots, is the one that's east-west, opposite of where the wave is coming from. And then from the southeast-southwest cleanses, if the north-south waves spawn from north, it's pretty easy. If they spawn from south, you're gonna wanna basically stand right against the thing. Yeah, and you wanna try to make it to the first one so that you go from 1 to 2. So here you can see the Dragoon. He goes from 1 to 2 and dodges here, and also the White Mage here. Also, it's pretty far. But yeah, as long as you pop your sprint, you should be able to make it. And then just remember to wiggle a little bit. Make sure that you grab your cleanse. It's a little finicky, a little bit nail style cleanse, if you know what I mean. Okay, so that should be all for the rewind, the debuffs, both red and blue. So let's talk about the rewind positions. So the way the knockback works is that it's like the mirror knockback from E8S. So it's like the mirror knockback where it's a wild charge, but it also gives a bone debuff to the first 4 people that get hit. So basically what you kind of want to do is tank, then 3, then tank, then 3 split for the rewinds. And the easiest way to do that is, so sorry for the flashbang, here, suppose that 2 here is the safe intercard. So just imagine that everyone is looking out from 2. Okay, so this is like our reference point, this fidget spinner over here. If I can zoom in here, yeah, you see that there's these 2 circles here on the arena that are like adjacent to the market. The tanks, one of the tanks is going to stand at the edge of the circle left, and the other tank at the edge of the circle right, towards the marker basically. And then the light parties, the left light party, so light party 1, going to stand at, you don't need to be perfect at this position, by the way. It's just a general, what you're trying to aim to do is a left light party wants to be left of the marker. So remember, we're looking out this way. So left of the marker and right of the marker. And you can see here that they're definitely not perfect with this. You can be like a little scrappy here, because we're especially going to have some extra meat just to make sure that even if you get hit with a wound, as long as you're not a tank, and the tanks are also going to pop some cooldowns, we're basically gonna play it in a way where we have some leeway with how to place our rewinds, because it's especially tough for some of the people that are getting the later cleanses to get up in time for this. Right after you drop your rewind, everyone's gonna spread for the spirit taker. So guy is gonna jump on someone random. The way we're gonna do this spread is again relative to the enter card that we dropped our rewinds. So here, here you see, yeah, this is a good screenshot. Basically, the tanks, they're already here. They're just gonna move up against the wall. The healers are also gonna go a little bit back and left and right. And all the DPS, they're just gonna run away. And you kind of want to go like range a little bit more towards the wall, melee more towards the center. But the DPS can just really go anywhere and just spread out. Remember that we still don't want to hit the crystal. So as you spread here, make sure that you don't go too close to the crystal. So suppose we were like stacking over here at 2, and you say where you were group 1 healer, don't go on top of the crystal. Go like right here or something. Okay. Yeah. So just refer to this. Tanks up against the wall, healers a little bit further back, to the left and to the right, being careful not to hit the crystal, and the DPS just spread out. And then you're gonna get the rewinds, they're gonna happen, and at this point there's nothing you can do. Actually, there is something you can do before the rewind. It's a little minor detail, but if you know that you place a rewind wrong, what you can do is you can press your knockback immune right before you get snapped back. So right as the bonk happened here, if you press your knockback immune, you're gonna immune the first knockback, and that might be able to save you. So let's say that you place your rewind over here at 4 instead of 3. If you press your knockback immune right as this happened, you might be able to survive. So keep that in mind. Might save your life. We'll also probably say something if we see that someone can do that. But yeah, just remember to press it right before the rewind stuns you and locks you in place. You can see actually the monk here has like the knockback immune. Yeah, you see how they didn't move over here? But they're still gonna get knocked by the second one. Yep. Cool. Then right at the end, we're gonna do the 7-1. Dark Knight moves out, everyone has stacks in the middle. And then there's a last Mornafa check with the HP bars. They should be almost dead over here. And that's it. Let's go through some POVs now. If you have any questions, if I missed out on anything, remember to let me know. So first, let's look at red POVs. Okay, so let's see which one's this. Okay, so this is the red stacking with the group. Okay, so you're gonna see me walking into a lot of snapshots because that's the 200 MS experience. But remember here, you want to pop your sprint when the dragon is gonna hit you, and then you're gonna swerve around and stack up on the fidget spinner with everyone else. And then I'm gonna head up to north, dodge the axis, and then I just want to see where I need to place my rewind. In this case, it's going from this side to this side. At this point, I don't know what's east or west when I'm playing personally, so I just watch, oh, it's going that way, and then it's going that way. And someone might also call like, oh, rewinds at 4, rewinds at 3, or something like that, or just like say 4. And then here I never greet this, so I'm just gonna wait here in the center. Oh, let me. Yeah, so I'm gonna run in, my sprint faded, so I'm not gonna try to make it here, so I'm just gonna wait for the second one, and then I'm gonna place my rewind over here. So remember, just like right and left of the marker is fine, and you don't have to be precise. Ignore the dead people here. I'm sure we're gonna be fine. Hey, this is the probably one of the trickier ones, the no stack side. So here, what I like to do is basically face towards the wall, and then I pop my sprint. Once the dragon head poops me, I'm gonna tuck into the cubby here, and you can see it's really hard to see with the explosion, but yeah, just remember where the lines on the floor are, and you tuck here against the cubby. When you see the orange disappear, you make your way north as fast as you can. Let me just play that out without pausing. So pop the dragon head, sneak into the cubby, and go. And then from here on is the same thing. I'm just gonna acknowledge that it's coming from my left and coming from south. So yeah, so I'm going to 3 as Arthur called here. Thank you, Arthur. Let's see the winds now. Courtesy of Lumen, because I didn't want to scrub my VODs for the POV. So this is the wind with the group that's gonna do the knockback. So you can see some scared me. Okay. As soon as the hourglass explosion happens, they move into line with the pedal here. So yeah, you see where the circles intersect. They move over here and just stand still so people can use them as a line for their knockback. And then move over to here. This is where you press your sprint, and then you run into the, basically lined up with where the marker is and where the dragon head is coming from. You let it bump into you, and then you make the L shape here. You notice how he doesn't do like a diagonal here. So bump into, he was even could have been a little faster with the movement. So what you want to watch here is either the cast bar, so here, Maelstrom. You can either watch the Maelstrom cast bar or the orange coming on the other side. Once the orange happened here, you can already start moving. And you want to just get to this spot as soon as possible so that you intercept the dragon head. And then you move back in a straight line and to the south, so the L shape. Then you're just gonna wanna dodge and see where it's coming from. We see that it's coming from 4. Remember, try not to steal your friend's rewinds. And you can see here, the tank POV, they're placing the rewind basically on the circle here. I showed like the edge of the circle, but if you place it like that center in the circle, left and right, that works perfectly fine. Other wind. This is the wind that doesn't have the party. It's going to be the exact same movement, with the only thing that you don't need to be as generous with your movement. You don't need to worry about knocking people off. And also the explosion is happening right in front of you. So yeah, just move in. Remember, lined up with the marker with where the dragon is pathing. So the dragon is pathing in this circle here, where you see my cursor. So the circle meets with the line of the marker right here. So you just move up to here, wait for the dragon head to bump into you, and move straight south, and then east or west towards the center. So let's watch that without pausing. Dodge into the explosion. Pop your sprint probably right here, and then move in. Pop the head, make the L shape. And then you're just dodging exo waves. We know it's coming from the right side, and then it's gonna be from 2, yeah? So respecting, doing it on the second one, going all the way to the rewind spot, and then spreading out. Cool, those are the reds. They are probably the trickier ones for the starting part of the mechanic. And they also, so if you're a blue and you mess up like your debuff and you don't cleanse, for example, we might be fine some of the time, as long as we don't get a damage down in some of the cases. But if you're a red and you mess up your roll, we are probably wiping, because either the dragon head's not gonna pop or something else is gonna go wrong. And so yeah, so try to be really good with your reds. So let's see the blues. For the blues, I'm just gonna show two POVs here. Here's the south POV. So this is looking at the sheet here. If you are anything that's not dark, okay? Anything that's not the dark flare, you're going south. Either southeast or southwest. You're looking for the hourglass. Okay, so I'll go over here at the hourglass. I'm gonna wait at the cubby, wait for the explosion, and then I'm gonna position. I'm gonna ride the knockback. I see this person over here. This person that's positioned further away from the group, they have the knockback. So I'm gonna line myself up to get knockback directly. And then once knockback, I wanna run into the intercard as soon as I can. After that, I make my way north under the crystal here. And then you can see I pop my sprint right here. Oi! You can see I pop my sprint right here, right as the second to the third one is happening. And then I was yellow, so I'm gonna go over to Bravo and grab my cleanse. And this one was pretty free because it was the wave that was already going away. So yeah, one of the easier patterns for me here. So really not that hard on the initial part for the blue ones, but definitely trickier here on the cleanse. Can be easier or harder depending on the pattern you get. So that's what the dark flare here. So dark flare, I'm going north, and I'm going to whichever side has the purple hourglass, and I'm just gonna hang out over here in this cubby. It's important that as this person, I do not go to the petal here. If I go to the petal, to the center here, if I mistake that I'm a different role, if I move ever so slightly from where I'm standing right now, I'm gonna hit the crystal and it's a wipe, okay? So just stand, just chill. You don't need to do anything, okay? Even right here, you honestly don't need to move, but it's safer if you move towards the intercard here, which is where you're gonna wanna stack for the big old dark explosion. And then I go over to this to the north side, and then I dodge in, and then I'm gonna grab cleanse on Delta because that was dark one. Probably don't do what I just did there. Probably easier if you go over here and then go from there. But yeah, maybe I could have gotten better POVs, but I'm sure if you get enough practice on the solo sim, you'll see the harder Exaflare patterns, and you'll be able to figure it out. I think that's all. It probably took a long time. Hopefully you were able to follow and I didn't ramble too much. Thank you if you're on the live stream right now. Thank you, Jen. And yeah.